I'm not going anywhere. This is my team, and it will be for the next however long I want to play. Some guys are going to just get in your face and scream at you. I don't learn that way, because I'm like, I don't. And what are we really doing? We're just saying loud words. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to, try and show you up. Every game you can't go out there and score 30, score 21 points and, call it a day. I don't want anyone to take anything away from the play that he made because it was very impressive. You have to give them the credit because they did a good job on this. We did put ourselves in position to make a run, and we didn't do it. It's just as simple as that, right? I leave those kind of things up to coach. My job is just to go through my reads and put the ball where coach wants it. Oh gosh, what's new with our crowd? Yeah, whenever we don't win, that's going to happen. I'm sure they don't want to hear anything right now. That's my answer, man. Nobody cares. Happened before. Been here long enough. You play here long enough, it'll happen. But I don't think anything of it. It's happened for 6 years.
But the thing that I like this week, that was better than last week, nobody gave up. So
at the end of the day, I've been doing this long enough to know nobody cares, even if that's the case.
Is that a certainty your quarterback is he in?
I'm not going to get into all the next year scenarios. I'm just going to say that 7-9 is a step forward. Statistically, I think we took a step forward. We got to get a lot of guys healthy, and we got a lot of things to look at and evaluate before we start making any assumptions.
Negative 47% chance that they were going to draft somebody in my mind.
I think it's time for some fresh air.
The greatness of the Raiders. Some may scoff, but what other pro sports team is instantly identified with a song like this one?
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache.
Contracts, what have you. I think you got to consider all that stuff. And, as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm sure we'll sort through some of those things, but do the right thing for the organization as we go forward.
Raider Nation, what is going on? I am Hardcore Raider. First of all, I want to let you guys know, thanks for tuning in. Whether you're a Raider fan or another fan, this is a great video because I want to get your guys' comments. So I want you guys to, first of all, hit the like button and subscribe. Trying to get my subscriber count up. So it'd be nice to, have some guys join and participate in that. So, the question of the day that I've been thinking about that I want, other people's feedback from. So leave a comment and subscribe like I asked. But do you guys think the Raiders can win with an average quarterback? Okay, it's a question I've dealt with for a while now as a Raiders fan, and I'm curious what other people think about Derek Carr and the Raiders. The reality is we got a lot of talent on this team, guys. We got Josh Jacobs, Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. I know Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller were hurt for a portion of the season, which may have hurt us. But we've had a strong, heavy run game, right? So me kind of thinking about it, analyzing it is if we have a strong run game, do we really need like a Patrick Mahomes, right? If we keep Josh Jacobs, do we really need an elite quarterback? I'm not convinced we do. So first things up, let's switch the screen here. We're going to get into the total rushing yards. So Josh Jacobs last game against the Steelers, he only had 44 rushing yards. Not terribly great. But I do think, he had, he's still leading the NFL in rushing by 110 yards. So, he's got to, produce these last two games to hold that title. But it's been a long time since the Raiders, held the title with a running back being the leading rusher in the NFL. I believe it was Marcus Allen the last time that was done. So first of all, Josh Jacobs, he's just been killing it, man. He's an elite running back. He's not this running back by committee that a lot of people think in the NFL that they grow on trees and stuff like that. And you don't pay running backs, but the proof is in the pudding, right? So top rusher in the NFL right now, 2 games left to go. Next up, these are the touchdowns, Josh Jacobs right up there, number 5 with 11. So, top 5, he's still holding it down. Wish he'd had a couple more there. At one point he was leading that title. But but looking at it, I mean, that's pretty damn good. So leading rusher, fifth as far as touchdowns, and then let's get into longest touchdowns. Like one carry touchdown, 86 yards. Josh Jacobs leads the NFL and leading touchdowns, longest run of the year, and that was an amazing touchdown he made. So next up, yards per game. Josh Jacobs is at 102 yards, 0.6 yards per game. So that's immaculate, dude. That is not your running back by committee. That is like, you take a team on your back and you're going to carry them to victories. And that's exactly what Josh Jacobs has done in the games that we've won. I'm a firm believer that if Josh Jacobs wasn't on the Raiders, we might have a tough time winning. We'd have a lot worse record than just 6 wins. Okay. So let me know what you guys think about Josh Jacobs, because I feel like if we were to keep Derek Carr, we're probably getting rid of Josh Jacobs. But if we keep Josh Jacobs, I don't think we necessarily need Derek Carr or, I believe there's a lot of quarterbacks that can come play for the Raiders and do well. And I know there's a lot of people out there, especially Raider fans, are like, well, if you get rid of Derek Carr, who are you going to have, man? I mean, there's guys out there from Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew look pretty good. Guys that would compete, and we're going to get into kind of that portion of it here right now. So let's get into the Derek Carr stats. Okay. So this is what I'm calling the Raiders, the Raider facts is what I'm calling this segment. Okay. Which is, I'm diving in, just prove to you that Josh Jacobs is one of the elite, if not the best running back in the NFL. And now I'm going to dive in and, we're going to look at, Derek Carr and his stats and see where he lands in the mix of things. And then we're going to look at Derek Carr's paycheck and we're going to see if he's earning his paycheck or not. Okay. Again, make sure you guys subscribe. Need to get these subscriber counts up. So I'd appreciate, subscription, hit the like button. All right. So Derek Carr, if you look right here, total yards, not terrible. He's like 11th, I felt like these last 3 games or so, he didn't do very good to say the least. He started the season out, was like kind of not very good. And then, did pretty good middle part of the season. And I feel like he's fading off again. So there's a lot of inconsistency for what we're paying him. So 11th, it's not great. Okay. I'd say it's average or maybe a little bit above average as far as like, what the numbers are saying. Next up, touchdowns. Okay. Again, he's right here about that, maybe a little above average, mark as far as, touchdowns, 24 touchdowns for Derek Carr. So he's number 10th as far as like total touchdowns. Okay. And I felt like the Raiders have not done good enough in the red zone. And I think it shows here. If we had done better in the red zone, we should not be 10. We should be like 8 to maybe 5, at least somewhere in there. Okay. And you look at some of these other quarterbacks. Yeah, they're good. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Geno Smith has had a pretty crazy year. Shocked a lot of people, including myself. Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, and then Derek Carr, and then Jalen Hurts right behind him, and then Tom Brady. So, if Derek Carr was an elite quarterback, these numbers should be higher. He should be in like, 8 to at least 5, if not like 8 to 4. Okay. If we're saying like he's above average and doing really good. All right. Next up, QBR. This one hurts. You can barely see it. Move my microphone out of the way a little bit here. But the number kind of faded off. But if you look, Derek Carr's right down here. Okay. And he's number 14th as far as QBR. So that's terrible. I mean, look at his QBR rating. It's 55.8. I mean, that's not a good number as far as I'm concerned. Not for a guy you're going to pay top quarterback money to. So next up, completion percentage. Move out of the way here. Derek Carr is number 12th. Okay. If you look right down there, you see him at number 12. 305 completions. So again, about that middle of the pack, we're about the 10th range, but not great. Okay. Not great. All right. Then interceptions. This is the like the straw on the camel's back for me. Okay. As a Raiders fan. And, again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're not a Raiders fan, let me know what you think. Cause we need some non-Raider fans to give us your opinion of Derek Carr. Because, there's been a lot of turmoil of like Raider fans and in Raider Nation, whether or not we should keep Carr or get rid of him. All right. So if you look here, Derek Carr leads the NFL in interceptions at 14. Derek Carr leads the NFL in interceptions. And that's just not going to cut it. If you're a top paid quarterback, I don't care what team you play for, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. So with that being said, we're going to get into this, going into next year. So this would be the 2023, what quarterbacks are making as of now. Okay. So we count down the list. We got Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady. So Derek Carr is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Derek Carr is ninth highest paid quarterback in the NFL, according to this list of what quarterbacks would make next year. And some of this will change, obviously, but he's going to make about 35 million next year, and then it jumps up after that. I think it's like 43 million. If you average out what the contract is going to be, it's like, I think 36 point something million per year. So, excuse me. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Derek Carr is worth 36 plus mil a year? I know there's a lot of people like football fans, like we look at the percentages of what the salary cap is and what quarterbacks should be making. I kind of look at it a little bit different than that standpoint. I look at it like, hey, if we pay this guy X amount of dollars, right? And that means we can't like sign Josh Jacobs, or we can't get a defensive, guy that we need on our team, whether it's defensive tackle or a cornerback or something like that. Is that 35 mil going to hurt us to a point where we can't improve our team for really mediocre play or a little bit above average play? Because that's what we're talking about. He's not, some of those he's trending around that 10 mark, but when you lead the NFL in interceptions, that's not good enough. And there's always going to be a cause and effect for things, that's the way that I look at it. There's sometimes interceptions, you could have thrown on the wide receivers catching the ball a little better. But then there's also some where like Derek Carr is throwing the ball like behind receivers, over receivers. So a lot of these interceptions are on Derek Carr. It's not just like a lack of execution from the other guys on, the Raiders team. So, when I look at the whole thing, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be fair with a fair evaluation. I look at the whole season, looking at the stats, what I'm calling Raider facts, we're pointing out the facts where we're looking at his money that he's going to make next year. And is it a choice where the Raiders should keep him and figure out the other pieces, meaning we're not going to have the money to sign some of the guys we need, or we get rid of Derek Carr and we get someone else that's average? If you're going to run the ball a lot, and with the talent we have on the team, I'm not convinced that we need a super elite quarterback. I'd be okay with getting someone where their money isn't nearly in this $35 million range. I think we should have somebody within like a 15, 20, 25 million, dollar max, like kind of limit, That means that we'll free up a little bit more money. We can go out, we can get some of this talent we need going into next year. So I want to know what you guys think, man. Do you guys think that an average quarterback with the weapons the Raiders have from Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, obviously Devontae Adams, one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL, do the Raiders need an elite quarterback to get us to win more games? I'm of the belief that I think an average quarterback could get us, maybe not to a Super Bowl, but I'm saying if we're talking about like where we're at right now without Josh Jacobs, if we get rid of him, we're not winning even 6 games, where we're at right now. So Josh Jacobs has really pulled through and won us some games almost single-handedly. Josh Jacobs was extremely frustrated after the Steelers loss. Essentially, he said he's tired of losing. A lot of people are saying he's probably out the door, not wanting to be a Raider next year. It could be possible. I hope not. I have a Josh Jacobs jersey on right now. My favorite player, my favorite running back for the Raiders in a long time, since like Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, as far as running backs go. So, I want to keep Josh Jacobs. I think we keep Josh Jacobs and we get another average quarterback. I'm not going to get into who those quarterbacks are available. I'm going to break that down in another video, but I want to know what you guys think. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you guys leave a comment of what you guys think the Raiders should do. Can the Raiders win games with an average quarterback? Because to me, looking at the Raider facts and the Raider stats, I'm going to say, you know what? I don't think there's much of a toss-up between Derek Carr and somebody else. I think somebody else can come in here that maybe not be well known, and I think they can help will us to some victories. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And, as always, there's only one nation. That's Raider Nation. Let's go. Hardcore Raider out.
The greatness of the Raiders. Some may scoff, but what other pro sports team is instantly identified with a song like this one?
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache.
Contracts, what have you. I think you got to consider all that stuff. And, as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm sure we'll sort through some of those things, but do the right thing for the organization as we go forward.